All right, everyone, welcome back to the Crossover Podcast, episode number 20. And today I am joined by a good friend of mine and former classmate, Aidan Vickery. Aidan, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Same old, same old.
Yeah. For me, it's been tough the last year or so, right? Just getting used to the new change of society, I guess. And especially in sports, it's been tough.
COVID has been an issue. Everything's kind of returning back to normal. A lot of sporting events have started back up, but everything's the same, but everything's different at the same time,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. I was excited for the FIBA tournament in the
I
summer.
remember that. Yeah, I was gonna go.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of volunteering for it. Um, and I think they're doing it this summer now.
Rescheduled. I
Yeah,
think
rescheduled.
Greece was playing Greece, and we would have been able to see Giannis in person, maybe,
Yeah, and
and it got
France.
canceled.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's anyone on France. Rudy Gobert,
yeah, Tony
maybe.
Parker.
There's a couple guys if
Yeah,
they're still playing.
if like a city like Victoria having NBA players in the city, it's always nice to have.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to see those guys in person and just how much more of an athlete they are than the guys we're used to.
Yeah, yeah. Transitioning from that, speaking of all the past year or so,
Mhm.
uh, you graduated school with your diploma last year. We've been speaking kind of on and off the past year.
Yes.
Um, but what have you been doing the past year or so post graduation?
Uh what most grad students do is just try and find a job in a
Yeah.
panic and struggling to do that. I had a job lined up, it fell through, so I kind of just took the first thing that stood or that accepted me. And I recently quit to start looking at more opportunities again because stuff is opening up and there's more sports management things.
Right.
And that's pretty much where we are now.
So what
That's
was the job you had?
It
Uh,
was a job selling fitness equipment in town, which is it got me from A to B, but it definitely was not my favorite cup of tea.
yeah. I think I may be speaking for just me, but I don't
Mhm.
know about the other people in our program. But I feel like sort of the goal, like once we're done, is we want to be in those like big positions kind of
Yeah,
right away.
for some people, I think some people are in our program because they just like sports. Some people have a
Yeah.
goal in mind. Like I know if you have more of a business, like managing a team goal, like it's more concrete. Some of our other classmates that I've talked to, they're just kind of going through school and getting by. Um, all of like that's how it goes. Working in those long-term management positions might be difficult now. Like
Yeah.
there might be a few of us who get in there, but I don't know if the majority are.
I think also like the average age of those positions are much higher
Yeah, I
than
mean,
what we think.
if you're a GM, you're what, like 60 years
Yeah.
old. Everyone in our program's 23, thinking they're going to be making six figures.
Yeah. But you got to start off somewhere, right? Um,
Yeah, yeah. Like I think being passionate about sport will get you in the door in a lot of places, and then it just depends on work ethic and if you're actually into it.
yeah. Um, have you been watching lots of sports?
I It's been here and there. Obviously March Madness is going on.
Yeah.
NBA basketball is still pretty big, but not as much as I would have last year. Honestly, sports are kind of they're always like a social thing. Like, hey, let's go watch the game. Hey, let's sit down and watch March Madness. It kind of feels weird doing it by yourself,
Yeah.
like watching multiple tournament games solo. So I'll watch highlights and stuff like that.
It's been a crazy year, March Madness this year. Lots of upsets.
I think, yeah, COVID is kind of because I don't think they can have full crowds anymore. So those big
Yeah.
schools where they have like thousands of fans, now they don't have those in the same way. So those little schools can kind of feel at level. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's pretty similar to the NBA, where like Charlotte and Chicago and the team like the Knicks even who are
Mhm.
kind of benefiting from not having fans in the stadium, whereas teams like the Lakers and the Raptors, um,
They get a huge energy boost from
yeah,
that home court advantage,
yeah,
which also means like the playoffs is going to be completely different. Like it was in the bubble last year. Like the Los Angeles Lakers don't have home court advantage. Like the Golden State Warriors don't have home court advantage.
yeah,
All these big teams don't have what they're used to having.
yeah. Have you been watching a lot of NBA? I know the trade deadline has kind of it actually just kind of ended today, but
Recently mostly highlights. Like I'll catch the
yeah,
occasional game if it's good. I know there was some pretty big trades recently. I know Kyle Lowry was on the hot spot. I don't
yeah.
think he ended up leaving Toronto. I kind of hoped he was going to leave so he could
uh,
chase a ring somewhere
yeah.
else.
I'll update you. So Lowry did not get traded.
Okay.
Um, I think they might do like a sign in trade thing in the next season or something. Norman Powell got traded to Portland.
That's not that's he's a good player. That
Yeah.
might be the better place for him to grow.
So I think they got Gary Trent Jr., who's a decent young guy. And Rodney Hood and a second round pick, I think, or something like that.
Honestly, I can't say I'm a Raptors fan, but I'm also not a Raptors hater by any means. But after Kawhi left, like he was such a surge for the city and for sports in Toronto. And once he left, everything has kind of gone downhill for that team.
I think also like players like Siakam and Ananobi, guys who like just signed their multi-year max contracts.
Mhm.
Like we thought they were gonna pan out to be borderline all stars.
Both are good players. In Pascal's case, I only think he started playing basketball like
16, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
late into his teens. So it's kind of difficult to expect him to be like he's a good player. He does a lot of good things, but at the end of the day, all those skills you get when you're 12 to 16, he just doesn't have. So he's playing catch up.
Yeah. But also he was an all-star last year.
Yeah,
So maybe
like
people were expecting,
eh,
hey, you can become that number one option for the Raptors.
I also remember in the play, what was it last year they lost in the playoffs
To
or the year?
Boston, yeah.
Yeah, and his performances were not
Yeah.
what people were expecting. I know he got a lot of hate. Um, having that thrust on him, like Kyle Lowry's getting older, he's
Hmm.
moved on in his career. Obviously, DeMar's gone, Kawhi's gone. That's a lot of responsibility on
Yeah,
a player who's.
that's true.
I don't think he's that old either.
He's like 26. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's really. I mean, we're used to young guys being really good, like LaMelo Ball or Jason Tatum,
Yeah.
but 26 is not old by any means
Yeah.
for the average player. Like he's not LeBron James coming in, dominating the game.
Do you think there's added pressure for young guys in the NBA?
Definitely. In like I, using Lonzo and Lamelo as an example, when Lonzo came in, there was this so much pressure on him to perform, and when he didn't do a great job, everyone called him a bust right away. Now Lamelo has come in, his brother, and like he's playing great, and everyone's super hyped for it. But you only have like that 1 or 2 year gap to prove that you're worthy of being in the NBA. Once you lose your contract, you might never come back.
Yeah. Yeah. I know like way back in like whenever Giannis got drafted,
Mhm.
people didn't think he was gonna be a good player.
He was kind of weak. Like he wasn't ripped like he is now.
Yeah.
He was kind of more of a project. He also grew quite a bit. He still can't really shoot. He still can't do a lot of stuff. So I understand people hating, but at the end of the day, fans don't know a thing. Like when Kristaps Porzingis was drafted, people were booing
Yeah.
him. Like there's so many guys that fans will hate on, and then they switch up as soon as they start playing
Well,
well.
even like reporters get things wrong, like Stephen A. Smith
Mm-hmm.
when he was talking about as you said, Kristaps Porzingis. He didn't like that they picked Porzingis.
I don't know who he wanted him to pick instead,
I
but
think he
Kristaps,
will.
yeah,
I think he
turned into a
wanted
7-footer.
like Bradley Beal or something.
It's so long. It's hard to
Something like that.
remember.
I forget. Um, do you? I mean, you're not a Raptors fan or whatever, but do you root for any teams?
I was a LeBron James hater back in the day when they were dominating the league. So I chose to be a Pacers fan because I thought they were going to dethrone them, take them down,
Hmm.
which obviously never happened. So I was a Pacers fan for a while with the Paul George team, Lance Stevenson and Roy Hibbert.
Yeah,
And then they just dissolved that team. So I'll still root for them occasionally, but I'm more of just a fan of the game at this point.
yeah. I feel like that goes for a lot of the people in our program. Like they just like entertainment rather than I
which is
like
which
this
is
guy.
fine. I mean, the problem being on the West Coast, we don't really. I mean, Portland's the closest team, but we used to have Seattle here. We used to have the Grizzlies in
Yeah,
Vancouver. We don't really have a basketball team that we're supposed to root for.
yeah. I mean, for me, I just go for the Raptors because they're the only Canadian team.
Yeah, which is totally fair.
If if there was a like Vancouver team, I would probably root for them more than the Raptors.
I haven't heard anything about a team in either like Seattle was a maybe, and Vancouver. I could see them having a team, but it's
Hmm.
kind of difficult because they don't want to keep on adding more teams and diluting the talent
Yeah,
pool.
yeah. I
Uh,
think well, Seattle's getting a hockey team.
yeah, what's
I
the team
don't
called again?
the Kraken.
I remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
the worst name I have ever heard for us. Um,
Have you seen like pictures of the mascot?
I I think I remember. It's not good, is it?
No,
No,
no.
a team from Seattle. I don't. It's. I don't think it's going to be like the Knights. I don't think they're going to be competitive.
I mean, who knows? Hockey, I feel like is very unpredictable. Where like you don't know who's gonna win the Stanley Cup. You don't know who's gonna win a specific game just
True.
because there's so many lucky bounces.
Hockey is definitely not my expertise, but I do know that the chances of like there's not any there's not favorites in the same way. Like a team that's towards the bottom of the pool can still go far at the playoffs.
Yeah. Um, since you're not a big hockey guy, we'll transition back to basketball.
Yeah, I'm just like I'm gonna be lost.
um, I know like you've trained like a lot during our like spare time in
Mhm.
classes. Um, I think you're trying to play for the Camosun team.
I was when I was going to Camosun. That never worked out. A guard heavy team, and to be honest, at the time going through it, I remember having like a decent tryout with them, but kind of now as I've gone forward, I'm like, did I do everything I could have done to actually be competitive for that team? The answer is maybe, maybe not. Um,
Yeah.
uh, Tough moving forward with college sports, kind of realizing that it's like you're not going to play a next level any sport,
Yeah.
but it's kind of just something you have to get used to.
I know for me, like with soccer, I I wanted to play university soccer when I was at UVic.
Mhm.
Um, but at the time I was like really small and pretty skinny. So I was like, I don't know if I really want to try out because I like, what's the point, right?
And did you end up trying out? I forget.
No, no. But they did have like a spot in like when in the next summer
Mhm.
when I was going to transfer to Camosun. They had a spot available for a defender. Um,
And you
so
thought about it.
I
You
thought
were
about it.
thinking about it.
Yeah,
See,
yeah,
that's the. I mean, if I don't think I knew you at the time, but if I did, I would have told you to stay and try out because those opportunities, like we have our entire lives to go through school and have careers and do all this
yeah,
stuff, but you only have a very limited amount of time to be a college athlete. Like at some point, like for example, right now, like I'm thinking about there's ID camps in like other provinces. I can go and try and play, but I'm 22 now. I'm not 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
Like I have to be thinking about a career. I can't just be thinking about playing college basketball for a couple of years.
Yeah. I think also like if I stayed at UVic, I wouldn't be like I wouldn't even know what I would be studying, even if I was on the soccer team. I think I'd rather just do something I like, and
Good point.
if I want to play Div 1 soccer, then I can do that. Um, and that's actually what I was thinking about doing as well. But I started liking the more behind the scenes stuff, and with Pacific FC
Mhm.
and all that stuff, that and coaching as well. That kind of took my time away from
From
playing.
yeah, because like when you're in it, like with soccer or basketball or anything, like that's kind of just your main focus. And as we've gone through and gotten older, now you branch out, you have lots of other stuff to do and things to get done. It just becomes less and less viable.
Yeah.
I still think you could possibly do it if you really wanted to train hard and do it, but it's tough. It's tough putting yourself out there for those tryouts.
If there was a Camosun team, I would try out.
Hmm. I don't think Emotions has the
They
budget.
they don't have the budget. They don't have the staff. It sucks because I think it would be a good rivalry between VIU and Camosun.
Okay, but I mean, hopefully one day. I know, like when we went through classes, they talked about how they just wanted to focus on golf, basketball, and volleyball, and that like those are their three things that they want to be
Yeah.
good at. But Camosun, as it grows going forward, maybe, hopefully, they would have
And
options for kids.
there's tons of good soccer players at Camosun.
Oh yeah.
Tons. Like a lot of like my friends are at Camosun. They play Div 1 soccer, um, and then even like people in our program, a couple years older, but um, really awesome soccer players, really good soccer players. And
Hmm.
I think we could have a good team if there was the staff and there was the budget, and we have the field, but there's no way to make profit off that, and that's why they're not going to do it.
I do kind of wonder if sports management, if they could just that could just become a regular program at more schools. Because thinking back, I don't know how many things we did that were that different from regular classes at say UVic or another school.
Yeah, I
Like there's
think,
a couple, but those are the classes I don't know if we got that much out of.
and that's why I switched over. Like I was gonna like I started doing economics
Mhm, at
at
UVic.
UVic, and I really like economics. I like business, and that was sort of like what I was thinking of doing after high school, and that's why I went to UVic and did that. And then I was like, well, I'm a huge sports nerd, so I wanted incorporate the both,
Mhm.
and UVic just didn't have that for me, so that's why I switched over. I think it was the best choice I could ever made.
Yeah, no. Um, but again, like if UVic had offered that, that might have been the better
Yeah, I would have
choice.
just stayed.
Um, yeah, not at all to crap on the program because I think there's a lot of good stuff that I learned and I'm sure you learned, but because it's a new program, there's definitely things that I think back on and I don't see as much value in learning
Yeah,
and going through. But I guess they'll continue to grow and continue to develop what they want.
yeah, they got good teachers. Maybe
Mhm.
not Ali, but
Yeah, we say good teachers, and then you kind of think back.
the business
I,
teachers were crap. But like Robert is a good teacher.
yeah,
Tanis, um,
I mean, you don't like a lots of people don't like Ali because of how he graded things, which I understand. I personally liked him because he helped me out with some basketball stuff, so I'm permanently
yeah,
biased. But yeah, there's definitely some teachers who kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
especially the business teachers.
Yeah,
They were
yeah,
they were annoying.
marketing especially.
Oh my,
Yeah.
yeah. But overall, like, what do you think of the program
Um. Hmm.
in your short stint?
in my short 2-year
Yeah.
career. I'm glad I did it, but I don't think I would do it again. If I had a second chance at life, I think I would apply myself somewhere else in some way.
Yeah.
Because looking at the opportunities I currently have, it's enough to get me in the door in some places, but most of the opportunities that I have are from my extracurricular stuff,
Yeah.
like coaching, like playing sports themselves, rather than my program. Um, it's helpful. Like it definitely adds a little bit to the resume, but I don't know if it adds as much as I'd like.
I think that's the same with me. Like with my experience being a part of a professional team already, like
Yeah.
that has learned a lot more or gained more knowledge for me than in school, where I'm like, well, what's the point of really doing these crappy business assignments?
Yeah, you already have your foot in the door in a sports organization. And when you apply for these jobs, they're not, I mean, I'm sure they'll glance at your education, and for some things they'll look, but I don't know. Like I think uh it's slipping my mind what the team's actually called. Pacific FC.
Yeah.
Um, that's going to be way more valuable because they can see you've actually worked with the team.
Yeah. No, but overall, like even like our classmates are really nice and um I mean I feel like there's sort of like a separate group where like um it's kind of like high school. We have like the popular people in sort of one section and then kind of the rest. But overall, like I really like everyone in our program.
Yep, no, I
Um,
made some good friends. Even the people I didn't talk to that much, obviously good people. Uh, not anyone that I'm really like. There's like less than 10 that I'm gonna hold on to and continue to have those relationships. But I mean, as
yeah,
far as networking, like down the line, if you see like that'll be useful to know a couple people here and there.
yeah. Um, you have like some hobbies you do on the side with music.
Mhm.
Anything else?
Music. I have a TikTok account where I talk about anime. There's some stuff.
Um,
Um,
yeah, I remember like I still go through your TikTok account. Some pretty funny stuff, and you got a
there
pretty good following too.
that so the reason behind that, my eternal shame, I made a gaming video with my friend, and it just blew up. Like
Yeah,
it was mostly him doing like talking in a game lobby, making a funny voice. So I can't take credit for the video apart from editing it, but it blew up. And then all the comments on YouTube and on TikTok were like, hey, make more of this, make more. And it took a little, like, at first impulse, I was like, oh yeah, we just got, yeah, we'll just do the same thing. We'll become big,
yeah,
influencers. And then slowly I kind of realized the whole point, like the only reason that video ever came about was because we were having fun.
yeah,
So I stopped trying to force it in the same way, and it's been better doing it that in that direction.
yeah. I mean social media. There's lots of people who um try and just post stuff just for the likes. And I mean, with me with this podcast, it for me like it was just more for fun. A lot of my friends like um not in the sportsman group, but just in my personal life, like I think people see like they want to just have like instant success.
Mhm.
And like a lot of my friends are like, "Oh, why are you doing this podcast? Like nobody's gonna listen to it." And yeah, nobody's gonna listen to it. I maybe have like 20 people listening to it an episode now. But like initially, I had like two listeners, and that was like my dad and someone else.
I mean, I'm sure they mean well, and not to speak badly on your friends, but you're never gonna get any. I'm sure again, sure they mean well, but the friends that I have around me, I want them to, one, tell me when I'm messing up and doing something that's obviously dumb, but when I'm trying to build something or I'm trying to do
Yeah.
something, I want them to help me and uplift me. I have a friend, the same friend from that gaming video, like he was doing a funny voice, and by continuing to like support him and push him, like now he's doing voice acting, like he's getting paid for it because he kept doing it. If
Yeah.
I had been a friend, or if me and our friend group had said, well, those are funny, but you're never going to be a voice actor, like you can't do that, he might never have opened that door.
Yeah. So I mean, for this podcast, it's just kind of for fun, and we'll see where it goes. But
You'll never know unless you do it, right?
yeah,
Same same with the music thing. Like starting out, obviously you have zero listeners. Same with the podcast.
yeah,
um you slowly grow it. Like the my music account on Spotify has like 100 followers, which is obviously insignificant, but that took 2 years to even get
yeah,
that much.
yeah.
um Same with the podcast. Like I don't know how many followers you have. I would recommend you don't pay attention to that and
I
just continue
usually
making
don't.
it.
I do have like these weekly sort of rankings in like Apple Podcasts categories.
It's good to check
Uh,
every
and
once in a while.
like obviously like I'm never in those rankings, and then like last week I was ranked 47th.
Hmm.
So it's nice to see. But again, I don't really care about the numbers. I'm just doing this for fun kind of thing because my main goal is to work in pro sports.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the joy of hobbies, that you don't have to, it's not your job. um if this became your full-time thing, I don't think you'd have the same level of enjoyment with it. Same like if I
Yeah.
became a professional musician, I don't know if I would be able to have the same amount of fun or creativity, because now you're making a product rather than something that's coming from within. It's something that you enjoy.
I think it comes back to your point of like forcing something.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start doing, if you're looking at numbers to get paid and stuff, it's tough to
Doing
not
stuff
try
for
and
other
get as many
people.
numbers as you can.
Yeah, like it's very hard to not do stuff for other people. Because that feeling of, oh well, they like this. Like for example, with music, I will make very different songs, but there's certain types that will get more traction and certain types that
Yeah.
will get more, like more people will like it. And you might find that same thing with the podcast, where if you do certain topics, you'll get more views, more reactions. So obviously you want to stick with those, but you can't limit yourself from doing the stuff that you're interested in and
Right.
enjoy, just because people might not like it.
Yeah. Going back to the music thing, when did that sort of start off?
That started, I don't know why. I think it started in my first year of commotion. Obviously there's like a history with it of playing around with it, but seriously starting to make things and play around with actually publishing it was my first year at commotion, which was 2019, maybe 2018.
2018. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was when I was there.
put out a mixtape for some reason midway through the year with no and it just yeah, it's just gone from there.
I thought you were doing it like before you came to Camosun because it felt like you were pretty into it.
um I had tried like it imagine if you had started the podcast when you were in high school, and those high school friends had said, well, this is stupid, don't do it. Like you might have been more
Yeah.
likely to quit. In high school, when I was into it and I first started making music, like the idea of rapping or singing would have been career suicide. Like it would have been so embarrassing. Like, hey, listen to me talk on this song
Yeah.
for 3 minutes. It would have been too hard. I think going into college kind of makes it like you lose your social group in a way. You can kind of change who you
Hmm.
are and become who you are a little bit more.
I mean, I think we haven't seen each other in a year,
Mhm.
and me last year, like I've totally changed. You haven't seen me with highlights before, and
No, no,
um,
like that's a pretty big
yeah.
change.
But when I transitioned from high school to college, or even when I was at UVic, I think I started like maturing a bit more or finding my own sort of style and um my own sort of way of life rather than being under like my grandparents, what they want me to do, what my friends want me to do,
Mhm.
that sort of stuff. And like me coming to Camosun and doing sports management, that like my parents didn't like that, my grandparents didn't like that, and now they're kind of coming around and
Understanding the value in it,
yeah,
especially as you've already had like a job in the industry. You prove that you can make money in it.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, going back to music, I
Mhm.
think it's very interesting that like the NBA and music kind of go together, especially in the hip hop genre or
Mm.
rap. Um, what are your thoughts on sort of music and sports?
Well, definitely hip hop has always, well, maybe not always been connected to basketball, but definitely through the late 80s, early 90s, hip hop started being, it was hugely connected. So, like a new sense of style, a new sense of music, a lot more self expression on the court. I don't remember, or don't know if you, obviously, we were very young at the time, but Allen Iverson with cornrows and
Yeah,
baggy clothing, listening to rap music, Shaquille O'Neal, like he on songs with Biggie. Um, it became super connected, and even more so now. Um, like there's all these rappers name dropping NBA players. They all hang out. Um, they're in the celebrity game. Like it's almost interconnected within the sport, which
I
seems very unique.
I think the big thing, especially for the NBA, was Beats, um, kind of partnering with the NBA and growing both businesses.
Beats by Dre. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And like when you see pictures of them walking in, like they're walking in with Dre headphones.
or the Power Beats. No,
Yeah.
yeah, I am a huge fan of those ear. I actually have them. Um, they are by far the best earbuds I've ever owned.
No, I've never actually tried them. Kind of because there was there was not a stigma against them, but you kind of just saw celebrities and athletes wearing them. So you're always
Yeah,
kind of like, well, I don't wear those. Mm.
yeah. The main reason, like, for like I have them right off the side here. Um, the main reason I got them was I liked like the AirPods, sort of the convenience thing,
Mhm.
but they always just fall out of my ears. So
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of AirPods, but especially well, I know people do train and I know people like lift weights and play basketball and stuff with them,
yeah,
but I think over ear headphones are the go-to choice for me.
yeah. I always see you wearing the headphones, even like on your way to class and stuff.
It's kind of it's two double edged. So obviously I'm listening to music and they're more powerful, so you can have noise canceling and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And the second thing, it tells people I don't want to talk to them. It kind of gives them the picture.
yeah. I guess the same with me. Like I know like we're both pretty introverted people.
Mm.
Um, and sometimes I don't like talking to people, or like I don't like dislike talking to people, but like a lot of the times I just want to be in my own space. I don't want to
You don't want
do
to like
some
have
extra
that
thing.
door open that someone can just like burst into your bubble.
Yeah,
Like there's nothing wrong with wanting to focus more on whatever you're doing in the moment. Obviously we do have to take off the headphones sometimes, even though
yeah,
it's hard.
yeah. But yeah, the power beats, they're the best earbuds, and I kind of I'm a big like minimalist person too.
Mm.
So sometimes I don't like wearing these headphones out in public, and I kind of like just being sort of not the center of attention.
A little more low key.
Yeah, low key.
Mm.
Um, what was I going to say? Power beats. Oh yeah, for your like I think another reason for you, like maybe another reason why you wear over ear headphones than earbuds
Mhm.
is maybe for your music.
True. So Christmas of 2018, I asked like when I still got Christmas presents because now I'm old. I asked for like a nice pair of noise canceling headphones,
Yeah.
which for music is like a great investment. As far as being able to like actually like high sound
I
quality.
think also like listening to different kinds of sounds in a song
Hmm.
where like if you're wearing like AirPods or something, you won't hear as much detail in like bass or highs or mids or whatever
It
than
won't,
over
yeah,
your headphones.
it won't work as well. Though when you're mixing and mastering a song, the crazy making thing is you have to listen on all of them to try and get a sense of how the song will sound on everything.
Yeah.
But obviously you want those high quality for
I
production.
I remember I was watching a video on YouTube of Ed Sheeran making his one of his albums, I think his newest one,
Mhm.
with all the collabs on them. Um and he was like some guy came in for an interview and Ed Sheeran was literally testing out on all these different speakers and all these different headphones just so that the sound is right for all of those devices.
From that, what that tells me is that Ed Sheeran has had to mix his own music
Yeah.
and produce his own stuff. The goal now, not the goal. Obviously, I have no intentions of being a huge musician at some point, but it would be nice to have a mixing engineer and a mastering engineer so I don't have to do any of this work. I can just record the
Yeah.
song and go home.
I wish I had an
So
editor for this podcast too.
that's the same sort of thing. Like you kind
Yeah.
of just want to get to the point where it's like I make the thing I like to make. Now I can go focus on something else.
Yeah. Or just rest.
Yes.
Um so what are your plans with music and basketball or sports in the future?
Um, Basketball, there's gonna be some ID camps during the late spring, early summer. I'm gonna give it one last shot to see if I can play college basketball. And the agreement I've kind of made with myself is that if it doesn't work, if I just go to a tryout and I obviously don't make it, which I can be okay with that. At Camosun, I felt like I was at the level to play, but there wasn't a spot for me on the team. Like they were guard heavy.
Yeah.
And then the year after gradding, I was going to try out at a school in BC, but that didn't work out because obviously COVID happened. So I haven't
Hmm.
really given myself like a high volume shot of going to a bunch of different schools. So that's kind of the plan there. Uh, Music wise, I mean, the beauty of stuff like the podcast, stuff like music or anything is that you can kind of just do it whenever.
Yeah.
Um, like it's a form of self-expression and no one has control over it. Um, yeah, probably do it forever, probably never get any that much traction, but that's okay. It's just for fun.
Yeah, for this podcast, I think I was starting to get pretty I was starting to like annoy people on my main Instagram account.
I
No,
do kind
like
of
nobody said anything about it, but like for me personally, like if I saw someone posting like all these advertisements for, hey, check out this episode,
mhm.
it gets kind of annoying after a while. So I was like, the past couple weeks, I was like, okay, I should probably make a separate Instagram account for people who actually care
Smart
about um
about the podcast.
about the podcast.
Yeah, like
And
sorry.
and I,
It
yeah,
was never
go ahead.
annoying. Like obviously I follow you on Instagram. It was never annoying, but it
Yeah.
was just constant. So like when you would see it, For example, like when like advertising music, if I'm spamming or not spamming, but if I'm posting frequently, it's more likely that people are going to skip through the story or
Yeah.
skip through the post. So same sort of thing. I think that you realized the volume had to change.
Yeah. Um, I was gonna say that um, I'm trying to be a bit more consistent with this podcast because I've been doing it for a year and I've only had this is the 20th episode. So I've had like a lot of like little breaks and even like 2 month breaks before doing another episode. And then when I get like into it, I'll release like 3 episodes in 3 days. And it,
Consistency is key.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm trying to make like we're recording this on a Thursday, but I'm gonna be posting it on Sunday. So I'm trying to be like every Sunday post something. And it's tough right now because when you're in school full time, you got all these projects and stuff. But um, yeah, and it's actually grown pretty fast. Like when when I made the Instagram account, obviously I just followed everyone that I have on my main account, and then
See if they follow back.
yeah, and if they follow back, cool. Once I don't follow back, I'll just unadd them. Um,
Mhm.
and then when I went into like the hashtags, like hashtag podcast, hashtag like NBA, just like a bunch of pictures, and that grew my Instagram account by like at least 50% more than um
Hmm.
yeah, which is interesting. So now like
Like
I have all these podcasts following me and all these like people who are interested in sports following me, which is a lot nicer. It's a lot like I got my target audience.
yeah. As
Um
you go forward, it's gonna be nice to not have to rely on the people you know,
yeah,
because like once it's people you don't know, not to say they're fans, but they kind of are. Like, they're into what you make.
they kind
They
of are
don't,
fans.
yeah, like they don't care. They don't know you from anything else. They like the product. They like the thing you
Yeah,
do. Um, which is a
yeah,
very different relationship than talking to your high school friends or college friends and saying, "Hey, I'm making this thing," because it always feels kind of bad in a way. Like it always feels like you're kind of pushing it on them to like it.
yeah, yeah. Um, I think that's all the questions I had. Um, yeah, it wasn't a whole
Okay.
lot, but we elaborated a lot, which is nice. Yeah.
And it's been like 50 minutes with minor technical difficulties at the start. Um,
I mean, usually my podcasts are like 20 minutes, so
probably with like an edit a couple of things out.
it's probably gonna end up being like 35 minutes,
Okay.
maybe.
Um,
I'm probably not gonna cut out a whole lot because we haven't really paused a lot.
true. That. Before I go, what do you think about the Myers Leonard fiasco, Miami?
With the him like kneeling and stuff.
No. So if you didn't hear about it, do you like Myers Leonard on the Heat, the big lanky white guy?
Yeah, yeah.
He was injured for a while, and he streams on Twitch. Uh, playing COD, he said a old Jewish slur
Hmm.
to another player who might have been 8 years old or something, and he kind of, I don't think he meant anything horrible by it, but he has since been released from the team. He was traded to Oklahoma, and now he's been dropped from them as well.
Yeah. I think like I never heard of this,
Mm,
but this is like one example of many. Like there was some country artist that said the N-word on the streets
I remember that.
to
Yeah,
some guys.
he was drunk and just
Um,
belted it out.
yeah. But when I hear stuff like that, like for me with that Myers Leonard situation, I don't think that was the first time he said that.
Nah, like I understand that argument. Like if you're gonna pull that word out of your hat, like you've said it before.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what I think. And the same with that artist. He's probably said the N-word a lot more than just that one time.
in his case, in the country singer's case, I don't know country at all, but his music's actually exploded because of it. Like
Yeah.
he's doing better than ever. In Myers' case, and I'm sure like after we're done, you might look it up or something or hear
Yeah.
about it at some point. I don't know if it's worth losing his career over. Like it was like an older slur. So
Mm.
like obviously there's certain words that now we don't say on purpose, like the N word, like there's lots.
Yeah.
But this one was kind of an older one. Like I wouldn't even think that most people didn't even know it. I think he just kind of pulled it out because he was angry at the video game and said it. Maybe I'm biased because I understand being there playing
Yeah.
video
Yeah.
games and I feel bad, but just watching him get dropped like this and lose his career kind of
I
hurts.
think also because the NBA or any sports league is a business, they want to
Yes,
align their players with what they value, like respect and all that stuff. And
true.
so when you have a player like that who does, racial things, right? The NBA doesn't want that, or any organization in the NBA, like the Heat in Oklahoma City. So that's probably why they
Also a
got rid
bench
of him.
player. Like it's not like LeBron
Yeah, he's
James
not.
went on a racial tirade. It's
Yeah,
some guy who's coming off the bench. Um, Other fun fact: the owner of Miami is Jewish, which is kind of picked the wrong place to say that.
yeah,
Um, anyway, I just wanted to get your thoughts on it.
yeah. No, that's it's a good thing to bring up. I think, especially in sports.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think that's going to conclude this episode. Aidan, thank you for taking the time. Um, if you want to let the listeners know where they could find you on your social media.
Instagram, Aiden V Music, Spotify, and all other streaming things. Just Aiden Vickery. That's pretty much it.
Sweet. And you can find me on Instagram at the Crossover Podcast. And yeah, that's about it. See you next time.